Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. As we begin, may I please request everybody to keep their masks on throughout the event and also follow the social distancing norms as per the government guidelines. Also, please keep your phones on the silent mode if you haven't already so that we finish uninterruptedly. Thank you so much. I'm Leena Shah, and I warmly welcome each one of you to this very special book launch of Blaze, written by Nidhi Podar and Sushil Podar. Blaze is not just a book. It is the first hand account of how two strong and fate driven parents witnessed the journey of their wonder boy, Divyansh Atman, as he marched each day of his tasking yet glorious life, not giving up even for a millisecond. The C word, as the authors call it, can ruin families, break morals, and really make us question the existence of God. But having read Blaze, I can assure you that after you read it, you can only look forward to a hell lot of inspiration and gusto in life. We are currently living in a world where any single beep of the phone may bring us bad news. But the catch is, shall we allow ourselves to live on the edge all the time? Or shall we rather live each moment trying to make it the best memory for us and everyone around us? On that note, let's have a look at the introduction AV for Blaze. Can we please have the AV for Blaze?
Look into the fire, my friends. Look at its profoundness and rekindle the fire in you to make the spirit strong, stronger than ever before.
So beautiful. May you please give me a huge round of applause for this. Thank you so much. All right, so that was about Blaze. And now, speaking of the publication house that made this possible, Blaze has been published by the very renowned and established Rupa Publications. Rupa Publications is an Indian publishing company based in New Delhi with sales centers in Kolkata, Allahabad, Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Jaipur, Hyderabad, and Kathmandu. They have published a huge array of books since 1936, ranging varied genres. And today, as we head towards the launch of Blaze, we have another AV from the managing director of Blaze, Mr. Kapish Mehra. He wanted to do this in person, but sadly couldn't make it due to the inevitable travel hassles pertaining to the COVID situation. May we please have Mr. Kapish Mehra's AV on screen.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to everybody who's joined us at the book release of Blaze by Nidhi and Sushil Podar. At the outset, I'd like to apologize for not being there in person due to the pandemic and the restrictions imposed because of it. But I would very much have liked to be there and have been a part of this journey since the day Sushil ji reached out to me. We all publish books for a variety of reasons, some for literary merit, some because of profile, some because of commercial value, etc. But Blaze is different. Blaze isn't just a book. Blaze is not just published for the sake of putting a record together. Blaze is something really that touches everybody's heart and soul. It is a fascinating account of survival, of victory, of positivity. Divyansh's story isn't something of trouble, isn't something of sickness, and isn't something of loss, but it is all about victory and victory again. The story is so inspirational, the journey is so fascinating, and the entire narration is something that touches us at many levels. We are proud to have had the opportunity to publish Blaze. It isn't every day that you come across a book like this, and it isn't every day that a story like this touches us so deeply. I wish that each one of you are able to read through the book and spend some time to reflect on the journey of the parents and the fighting spirit of the child. I wish all of us can learn something from Divyansh's life and therefore his message. I wish the book and the function the very best.
That was Mr. Kapish Mehra. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time that we get the stars of today's evening on stage, the authors of Blaze. Before I call both of them on stage, a few lines from Divyansh's poems, because that's how he saw his mama and papa. Speaking of his papa, Divyansh writes, as someone who lives under the edges of his shadows, always protected, always carefree, idolizing him, defying him, I, my friends, have lots to say about him, yet I am speechless. What not can one learn from him? He is an institution in himself, a true inspiration. The choicest of virtues, the most golden of personalities are gilded in him. He is like an umbrella who protects all those under him. In the rain of challenges, he is that shining star who assumes a rather modest pedestal, but is helpless because his personality shines in him and illuminates his vicinity. His name personifies him. And this is how Divyansh saw his mother. In this torrent of the river stands a tough rock, small and inconsequential, shining with a luminescence which outshines the stars and the shiny sun. That stone, the small puny one, the good-natured, purely soulful one, the one with the golden core, is the one I call my mum. As I call this beautiful couple on stage, I'm compelled to quote Divyansh one last time. Meet the couple, arriving with swagger, the charming, dynamic, flamboyant Mr. Coco Robusta, and clutching his arms, sauntering in the most dainty of ways, the demure, the bedazzling Mrs. Fola Foliage. Please give a huge round of applause for our debutant authors, Mr. Sushil Podar and Mrs. Nidhi Podar. Please have a seat. All right, so time to introduce our chief guests for the evening. Two of our esteemed guests could not make it this evening, Mr. Khalid Mohammed and Mr. Pritish Nandi. Some personal reasons, we really could not make it out. It was very last minute, so sorry about that. We shall proceed. May I now call upon the first guest of the evening. He's a wonderful lyricist, a poem, a screenwriter. He's the one that adapted the British show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire into one of our biggest television projects, Kaun Banega Crorepati. He's also the screenwriter for India's Got Talent, Indian Idol Junior, and many more shows, films, and some beautiful songs. One of his best song lyrics being Teri Mitti from Kesari, and the list goes on and on and on. So without further ado, I call upon Mr. Manoj Muntashir to please join us on stage. Please have a seat, sir. Our next guest is the Deputy Director of Tata Memorial Hospital, Mumbai. He is also the professor and head for the Division of Cancer Surgery and Chief of GI and HPB Surgical Oncology at the Tata Memorial Hospital. He is on the review board of many national and international journals and is also the Associate Editor for the Indian Journal of Colorectal Diseases. Please welcome Dr. Shailesh Srikhande with a huge round of applause. Please have a seat, sir. Okay. The next guest is the Managing Trustee of the Indian Cancer Society. May we please have on stage Mr. Uday Khanna. We have amongst us a guest who has been a special part in the journey of Blaze coming into fruition. She's the ex-editor of Cineblitz and Stardust and is currently freelancing as a media consultant. May I request Ms. Sugna Sundaram to please join us on stage. All right, now we are finally set, and I shall now request Mr. Sushil Podar to share with us some moments from his journey that inspired Blaze. Please, sir.
Thank you, Lina. Waited long for this day. Ladies and gentlemen, respected my brother, Dr. Shailesh Khande, Manoj Muntashir Sahab, Uday Khanna ji, and my sister like Suguna Sundaram. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Recently, I had read somewhere, it's a beautiful quote. When a story is difficult to tell, it needs to be told. And The Blaze is one such story, which I honestly felt it needs to be told. Blaze is a story of celebration of a spirit of human endurance. Blaze is a story of a person named Divyansh Atman, the protagonist of this story, and our son, who, with his indomitable spirit, fight against his formidable nemesis. Blaze is a story of a person, Divyansh, from whom time took away everything, one by one, but could not take one thing. Gentlemen, time could not take one thing, and that's his capacity to respond to his pain. But I will not talk about book as such, the content of the book. Many of you will read in course of time, so let me not go into that. What I would be interested in telling you at this point of time, the journey of making this book, which you may not know, which is equally fascinating. So let me explain the journey of making of this book. November, December 2018, my son was in ICU, USA, completely senseless. I was struggling, my wife was struggling, he was not. And then someone spoke to me, Mr. Podar, why don't you read a book? I go, which book is this? A book was recommended to me, written by a very popular person there. I am not naming that book. The author of that book was a cancer patient. He was a doctor. He was a cancer patient. When he saw I am dying, he started writing his autobiography. By the time he could complete 80% of it, he died. Rest 20% was written by his wife. I read that story. In one go, I completed the story. I cried at many times. And I wrote a long passage on Amazon review comments. But after 3-4 days, I began to reflect, what did I get from this book? Except pain, except tears, except feeling of frustration, I cannot fight against this pain. My dear friends, let me tell you, this disease, I am not naming that, has a definite role to play. Its pain is finite. Its pain is determinate. What is indeterminate, you must understand, is your capacity to fight, your spirit. That spirit somehow was lacking in that book. And that very day I took a resolve, sometime down the line, I'll consider writing a book on my son. But the question is, I didn't have the capacity. I never ever had thought of writing a book on my son. So with that thought, we thought, okay, we will write sometime from now. Days winged by. Now, October or November 2018, around 10 months later, My son was again in ICU, Mumbai hospital. By that time, we came here, Bombay hospital. And doctor had given clear timeline. Look, everything is fine. This person has lived with dignity all his life. If something happens, we will not do CPR. I said, done. Your judgment is my judgment. So we respected that. Evening time, we came back to home. We came back home. Then next morning, while I was getting ready for the hospital, my wife Nidhi, she was holding a book like this. And that book was written by Khalid Hosseini, famous writer, kite runner, Thousand Splendid Suns. And with tears in her eyes, she told me, can you ask this person to write a story on my son? I said, why can't? I'll do. I didn't want to disappoint her at that point of time. That was not the time. And to make her happy, to assuage her feeling, I wrote my request on Khalid Hosseini's website. Look, dear Khalid Hosseini, I have an interesting story of my son. Will you be interested to talk to me, contact me? Obviously, the reply was not to come. It never came. But she was, very satisfied I could make some effort in that direction. My son was struggling, but I was struggling on some other front. How to get the story written immediately? So, hectically, I went to Kames Corner crossword. I talked to one store boy. Can you tell me who is author in this city who can write a biographical story? He told me to meet that person. And that person his name is Harshil. He's marketing head of Crossword. I didn't know him. I talked to Harshil. He gave me a phone number of an author. Again, I'm not naming her. You contact. I texted. She responded immediately. Very nice. Your son has a very inspirational story to write about. We will get in touch. Where is he admitted? I said, Bombay hospital. Okay, I'm coming tomorrow. She never came. Again texted her. She did not respond to my message. One more time I texted her. She did not. Then I said goodbye. Then after that, I never... Look, there was situation of hopelessness on my son's count. I was not able to get an author. But in this sense of hopelessness, there was a sense of dignity, which I was not losing. Now, I got number of Khalid Muhammad. Before that, I never had met him. I texted him, Khalid, will you be interested in meeting me? He said, quite predictably also, you are from income tax, kya kaam pada mere se? He was scared. I go, no, it's my personal matter. Oh, then it's fine. Then he came to my home. We discussed at length. He said, why don't you go for some short film? I said, if you think so, then possibly we can try. And in no time, he created 2-3 scripts, screenplay. But somehow, we both decided not to go ahead with this script because we both were dissatisfied. So we honorably made exit from that episode. Matter of getting a story written for my son went into limbo. Now March 2019, April, my son was falling. Finally, he was admitted to the hospital towards the end of April for the last time. On 1st of April, my doctor has said, look, he's going to leave this world in next 24 hours. And he was on life support. My wife was sitting whole day by his bedside, holding his hand like this. I was quite emotional. Look, I'm telling this journey of making of the book, how we have reached this level. I was quite emotional. I randomly clicked both hands photo. Randomly. Because I never knew then that is going to feature as cover page of the book. This is divinity. This is divinity. And if you see carefully the cover page, the upper hand is of my son, Divyansh. The lower is of Nidhi. It seems Nidhi was holding, supporting him. But it's not like that. If you see the photograph correctly, son is holding hand of his mother. This is the beauty of this picture, and that's why I had clicked that time. Now, my son went into higher realm. He's happy there, I guess. I wrote a small piece for my son and started looking for a good author. Again, journey started from where I had left. I started looking for an author, and then my sister came, Sugna Sundaramji. An excellent person. She must have cried so many hours with us. She started doing interviews of various characters of the book, me, Nidhi, many characters. We had around 50 hours of transcription, and she began to write a book. And she was writing. This lockdown happened last year. Around that time, 1 month before, I thought of getting published my son's poetry. So he had written around 21 English poems and 2 Hindi poems. I began to read, I arranged all those poems in chronological order, one by one, date-wise, and started reading and writing perspective of each poem. You will be surprised to know he had written his autobiography through 21 poems when I arranged in chronological order. If you read this book, you will realize, and that's why each and every chapters of this book is titled is the title of his poem, or some words picked up from his poem. You will realize this. So after that, this gave me insight. Why can't we write a book? Sugunaji was writing. Then Nidhi and I mutually decided to write something in which the active voice would be Nidhi and I will be writer. And we started writing without any hope of getting it published. Because Sugunaji was writing. There was no point, why should I write? भगवान देता है तो छप्पर फाड़ के देता है. कहानी कभी मिली नहीं, मिली तो 3 ऑथर मिल गए. तो then I started writing. I started from particular event, went flashback into the story. By September, Sugna ji almost completed her story, and we also completed our story. We sat together, and all credit to Sugna ji. She was gracious enough to, give me permission to go ahead with my story. She said, no, your story should go ahead. And now this story is before you. Blaze is before you, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you what I have realized in the last 10 years of my son, the protagonist, which you will read in the book, and also in last 2 years. Suffering never remains a suffering. Suffering never remains a suffering if you have clear picture and meaning of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sushil ji, for sharing this with us. This was so inspiring. Another one of our guests, ladies and gentlemen, who couldn't join us today evening is Mr. Paresh Mehti. He's a very celebrated painter and has a credit record of over 81 solo exhibitions around the globe. He has been decorated with the Padma Shri. He has painted the longest painting in India that stretches up to 850 feet. Mr. Mehti has read Blaze and has something to say about it. Can we please have the AV?
This book is a journey of everybody's life, and it will show the new path to everybody once they read this book. And I hope that everybody should read this book whenever they get a chance and they get a copy after the opening of this unveiling of this book, and it will really give a lot of inspiration to give a new light to everybody's life.
Okay, I'm now going to request Ms. Sugna Sundaram to please share with us some trivia about Blaze and her experience with the Podars. Please, ma'am.
There's nothing trivial about Blaze at all. Sorry. Every story that's screaming to be told comes with its own destiny. And every story chooses its own writer. It is not the writer who chooses the story. I think Divyansh chose that his story had to be written by his parents, and what better voice than his own mother's, who he idolized, and his father's, to tell the story. It could not have been, it hasn't been, not before and not post Divyansh's going onward also, been an easy journey for Nidhi and Sushil, and Sushil has already revealed my strange association with them. It has solidified into a relationship that will hopefully last a long time, as long as we are. Divyansh brought us together, and this story needs to be read. There's nothing I can say that can do justice to this story. Buy the book, read the book. Each one will find some part inside of them that blazes with this story. And this story is a rebirth for Divyansh, and it will find residence in all of us. That rebirth will find residence in all of us who read the story as well. Thank you, Sushil and Nidhi, for allowing me to be part of your journey. And this is a beautiful day for me to be able to see.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, now something unconventional is about to happen. Dr. Shailesh Srikhande, after he finished reading Blaze, had recorded his review and shared it with Mr. Sushila and Mrs. Nidhi. And since that was so on point, we are going to play the AV as he sits right here with us. Can we please have the AV?
This is wonderful. This book has given me a lot of joy. It is very strange that we are dealing about and talking about cancer. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia is a bad cancer affecting children and the young. Fortunately, we have treatment modalities which has improved the chances of cure. But when they relapse, you have major problems in terms of doing repeat bone marrow transplants, or more recently we are looking at CAR T-cell therapy. Having said that, this kind of treatment is also labor intensive and capital intensive, so it's not easy. Neither for the patient, because they are young kids. The median age is about 11 years. But also, I think the suffering is equal, if not more, for the parents who have so lovingly looked after their kids and have to live through this. This is where this book assumes importance. The kind of love and emotion that is expressed by both Sushil Poddar and his very brave wife, the mother of Divyansh, Nidhi Poddar, is indeed remarkable. It's a story of human resilience and trying to evolve and trying to understand what God has in store for us and all the vagaries of life that life continues to throw at us. But I think it is important that one needs to be grateful with whatever the circumstances and then come out with a positive message. And this, more than the parents, it is the son who has written a beautiful book, I would say, in terms of his poetry, his emotions, his depth of sensitivity, and it's going to inspire not just patients with cancer and other kids who are affected by ALL, but so many people around in the world. Please accept my congratulations for an outstanding book.
Sir, since you're here, I'm going to request you to come here and please add some more to this.
Thank you very much, but I think you have left very little for me to say because you already have it. But first of all, thank you so much for having me here. Real pleasure and privilege to be here. This is not a place where I normally am, but we interact so much with human beings on a day-to-day basis. We unfortunately see a part of life where I can choose to be a part of a problem or I can choose to be a part of a solution. And I think if you want to be a dedicated doctor who works with the heart but works with passion, you will always be a part of a solution and not be a part of a problem. We are also very privileged that people come and they completely place their trust and faith in us. They are in times of need. Unfortunately, our relationship is such that people don't know Shailesh, they know Dr. Srikhande because they need to go to him because there is a health problem with them or with their family. Having said that, I happen to get to know Mr. Sushil Poddar in the most unique of circumstances. I was in Seoul on my way to London, just going to be in Mumbai for a day on a Saturday, and I happen to be the president of the the International Association of Hepatopancreatobiliary Surgery, diseases of the liver, gallbladder and the pancreas. I happen to be the president of that, and that association has had a little bit of a financial challenge where, just listen to me, that it's the income tax which owes us some money. So I came to know that our appeal is, hard-earned money's appeal is passing through a gentleman called Mr. Poddar. So I said, I need to talk to this gentleman that all due diligence is followed and you better help us. I don't have time for all this, but you must address that and I can get back to my work. I phoned him from Korea. I was at the airport. He was very calm and I didn't know him at all. And this we are talking, I refer to the date September 2019. And he just said that we will see what can be done, and he explained the procedures and that he will follow up. I carried on, and many a times these things take time. So every once in a while, I would get in touch with him to keep a tab on our hard-earned money, and that was it. A couple of times it so happened that there was some patient-related query or help that was required, and I was more than pleased to do that, not because it is Sushil Poddar or because he works with the income tax. That's what I like to do, to help people, whether from whichever strata of society and from wherever you come from. And then there has been a gap, and this year he phoned me and he said, I need to come and meet you. Though he was from the income tax, I felt that he's going to come and apologize to me that he's unable to help us in our quest of getting our hard-earned money back from the income tax, which is yet to come. So he said, no, I still need to meet. I said, I'm too busy. And do you think you can send me a message, or can we talk on telephone, because I really have a watch in my hand, but I really do not have the time. So he said, no, I need to come and meet you. And that's where the association has actually grown very differently, that he came and met me. Being at the Tata Memorial and being a cancer specialist for over 2 decades now, I deal with difficult situations every day. On one hand, you need to retain your emotions, because emotions are good for the human mind. On the other hand, if the emotions are too much, I'm likely to lose my scientific edge, and my principal role is that of a specialized doctor. But I can't be a robot and just give you XYZ treatment for A, B, and C problem. So this is a fine line which we always have to balance in order to be truly good human beings, and then you can be a very good doctor as well. And when he spoke to me, that's how it is. it's always a humbling experience, because I've been talking with this man for the last 2 years periodically on telephone, and I've been a little bit firm and demanding with him, quite rightly so, little realizing that he is himself facing a personal tragedy for a while. But that's where I think what we all have been listening to and talking about in terms of human resilience, in terms of circumstances creating the man or the woman, and everything else that I spoke about is so very clear. And these things always keep us grounded. I do get exposed to a lot of emotions all the time, but I think it keeps us grounded, and it's always good to realize, because we have, in inverted commas, a lot of victories and a lot of successes, but we should never forget the human angle of it. And I've persistently seen that patients who are mentally strong, who are positive in their mindset, and not just the patient, even the people around them. I have seen early stage cancers become terribly bad if you have a negative mindset or a way of looking at life negatively. And I've exactly seen the opposite. And this defies science, but I continue to say this and see this day in and day out, that a positive mind and you will carry on far better, far longer, and even after you're gone, you're going to come out with a lot of positivity and positive energy. There's always a choice that we have in life. You have a choice to sleep or not sleep. You have a choice to wake up and brush your teeth or not brush your teeth. Everything is a choice. You always have to exercise that choice, whether you want to be on the positive side of life or on the negative side of life. I don't mean to say that you shouldn't be realistic, but even in the realism, there is a huge spectrum where I see people who can be and sway on the side of negativity versus people who are swaying on the side of positivity. And I can tell you, within us, we have so much of energy which is given to us by the Supreme Creator, that you can channelize it not only to fight your cancer, but also for spreading goodness around you. And that's what I think I have seen in this fantastic couple who are now authors. And that's the only reason. I never treated him. I'm not a hemato-oncologist by specialization. I'm a cancer surgeon who does digestive cancer surgery. But when I heard the story, read the book, gave my thoughts, I said I have to be here. I think I've spoken a little bit too long. And thank you very much once again for having me here, and congratulations.
Thank you, sir. You've really added some great insights to our perspective. Thank you so much for that. So, as Dr. Srikhande was in the middle of reading Blaze, there was someone who, without his knowledge, was ghost reading it, stealing it from his desk at every chance that he could get. And what this young man who works as an administrator in the Tata Memorial Hospital felt after finishing the book could not be contained in words. But I'm still going to request him to come up here and try and share his experience with us. Mr. Vaibhav Patel, please. Is he here? Please come.
Thank you, Vaibhav Patil here. I'll just make it quick. The essence, by reading his poems, I felt that he was grateful for the bad days and thankful for the good ones. Life got difficult and put him out, but blessed Divyansh was, there's no doubt. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaibhav. I'm now going to request Mr. Uday Khanna to please come and share a few words with us.
Good evening, everybody. I wish, like Dr. Srikhande, I had also met Sushil Podar many years ago before, because I belong to the Indian Cancer Society and we also have tax problems. But so I had occasion to meet him only a couple of weeks ago. I went to their home. I met Nidhi ji and Sushil ji. He gave me his book. I heard about their journey, and it was almost a magical connection, because we in the Indian Cancer Society work with underprivileged people who cannot afford. We look at awareness, we do prevention, we fund cancer surgeries, we do rehabilitation, we do survivorship, do medical education and have a registry. And I think, as Dr. Shrikande has said, we also find in the Indian Cancer Society that, in my view, the medical curative part is perhaps at best 50-60% of the cure of the patient. The balance, what I describe as a layman, is mind over matter. It is faith, it is love, it is the enabling environment, it can be music. And we see, even in underprivileged patients, miracles happening because of, let me say, an enabling environment. Now, he then gave me the book to read, I mean, what I saw in Divyansh's character was everything that is good and great in bringing peace to others and peace to oneself. I mean, I would commend everybody to read this book. Divyansh actually was a very evolved soul with amazing wisdom and fortitude, which comes through his poems, and I've only read it once. I intend to read it again because they're far deeper. You don't get the essence in one reading. Very creative. And I think I applaud Nidhiji's and Sushil's courage to pen the book and bring it to the general public and to give us hope and confidence for the future. So I see that book not only as a kind of wisdom of certain people who evolve, but also give hope and courage to people who go through similar circumstance. And which reminds me that President Kennedy had defined courage as the most admirable of human virtues. And it was, I think, Ernest Hemingway who defined courage as grace under pressure. Now, if you read these books, these two quotations that I've given really get highlighted and would be of benefit to everyone. So in conclusion, I would say, while I have still to absorb the real nature, you have to read it again and again, the book really gives us hope and confidence in the future. And I see that it's not a medical journal, it is not, and some of the things I've said will come through. So I wish this book every success. I hope more and more people read it. And I thank Sushil ji for the opportunity to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your best wishes for the book, sir. We have another AV from the founder and editor of the online newspaper, The Print, a very senior and widely respected journalist, Mr. Shekhar Gupta. Can we have the AV, please?
Divyansh was a brilliantly talented child, also one blessed with a beautiful heart and mind. I so regret talking of him in the past tense and using the word was, but that regrettably is only because he just lived 22 years, of which also more than 10 were consumed in fighting the most deadly cancer. The important thing is he did it with a smile, as did his parents. Smile, fortitude, and he never let his creative instincts die out. In fact, instead of wallowing in self-pity, he produced a body of work by way of blogs, poetry, thoughts that his parents, after his passing away, unfortunately, have been able to put together in this real labor of love, the book called Blaze, A Son's Trial by Fire. This is a brilliant job done by the set of parents in their pain, Nidhi Podar and Sushil Podar, but I would say more the mom, that is Nidhi Podar. You read this. Once you start reading it, you can't put it down because it is so inspirational. This will tell us all, one, that anytime we feel that we have adversity in our lives, think about people who had much greater adversity to face. And second, remember how they faced it and what they produced at the end of it. That's why this book is a must read.
I'm now going to request Mr. Manoj Muntashir ji to spill some pearls from his vast lyrical canvas for us. Please, sir, आइए. Huge round of applause.
Good evening. As you were told, my name is Manoj Muntashir. मैं एक राइटर हूँ, फिल्मों के लिए लिखता हूँ. फ़िलहाल हिंदी में बात करूँगा क्योंकि हिंदी फिल्मों के लिए लिखता हूँ. बहुत सारी चीज़ें आप देखते और सुनते होंगे मेरी. मैं आज यहाँ क्यों मौजूद हूँ उसकी वजहें बहुत ख़ास हैं. सबसे पहले तो होना ये चाहिए कि मैं ब्लेज़ के बारे में बात करूँ, लेकिन मैं ब्लेज़ के बारे में बात नहीं करूँगा. और ये एक बहुत ही कॉन्शियस डिसीजन है जिसको मैंने बहुत सोच समझ के फ़ैसला लिया है. ये फ़ैसला मैंने क्यों लिया है इस पे मैं आऊँगा. और आप शायद इत्तेफाक रखें मेरी इस बात से कि हाँ, मुझे ब्लेज़ के बारे में नहीं बोलना चाहिए. लेकिन मैं सुशील जी को सुन रहा था और कुछ दिनों पहले मेरे ऑफ़िस में मुलाकात हुई मेरी सुशील जी से, निधि जी से. और अभी भी मैंने इनको बहुत देर यहाँ सुना. तो इनको सुनते हुए मुझे एक चाइनीज़ फेबल, एक चीनी लोक कथा याद आ रही थी. और मुझे पता नहीं क्यों लगता है कि आप सबको वो कहानी सुननी चाहिए, क्योंकि वो कहानी सुननी आपके लिए ज़रूरी है. एक नदी जिसके किनारे एक पेड़ हुआ करता था. ये कन्फ्यूशियस की कहानी है. आप में से बहुतों ने सुनी भी होगी और नहीं सुनी तो दोबारा सुनिए. उस नदी में पेड़ से टूट के 2 सूखे पत्ते गिर गए. एक पत्ता थोड़ा तिरछा गिरा, आड़ा, और एक पत्ता सीधा गिरा. दोनों पत्ते नदी में बहने लगे. जो पत्ता तिरछा गिरा था वो जिद पे अड़ गया. बोला, मैं तो इस नदी को रोक के रहूँगा, देखता हूँ ये कैसे बहती है, देखता हूँ ये समंदर तक कैसे पहुँचती है. चाहे जो हो जाए, आज मैं इस नदी को रोक लूँगा. ये नदी आगे बढ़ ही नहीं सकती. वो नदी से लड़ने लगा. जो पत्ता सीधा गिरा था वो बड़ा खुश था. उसने बोला, मैं तो इस नदी को लेके आज समंदर तक पहुँच ही जाऊँगा, देखता हूँ इस नदी को समंदर तक जाने से रोकता कौन है. मैं हूँ, मेरी सारी ताकत है. पत्ता कह रहा है, सूखा हुआ पत्ता, कि मेरे पास इतनी ताकत है कि मैं इस नदी को समंदर तक पहुँचा दूँगा. एक नदी से लड़ रहा है, दूसरा नदी के साथ बह रहा है, और नदी को दोनों का पता नहीं है कि ये दोनों पत्ते एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. ये नदी को पता तक नहीं है. लेकिन आप ये सोचें कि नदी को तो सागर तक पहुंचना ही था, लेकिन नदी के सागर तक पहुंचने का जो समय था वो तिरछे वाले पत्ते के लिए, जो उससे लड़ रहा था, उसके लिए दुख का समय बन गया, अवसाद का समय बन गया, संताप का समय बन गया. और वो पत्ता जो अपनी खुशी में आह्लादित झूमता बहा चला जा रहा था, उसके लिए प्रसन्नता का समय बन गया. समय वही है. नदी को दोनों पत्तों का पता नहीं है, लेकिन एक जगह कन्फ्लिक्ट है और एक जगह कन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं है. एक्सेप्टेंस है, स्वीकार्यता है. मैं निधि जी और सुशील जी के बारे में यही कहूँगा कि ये दोनों वो सीधे वाले पत्ते हैं जहाँ कन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं है, जहाँ स्वीकार्य है. और स्वीकार की भावना अपने अंदर आना, मुझे लगता है मेरी जितनी उम्र है मैं अब तक ये नहीं सीख पाया हूँ. मैं बहुत एनवी करता हूँ उन लोगों से जो ये सीख गए हैं. और आप दोनों जिस शांति से जी रहे हैं और जिस शांति से यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं, मैं समझता हूँ ये सीखने वाली चीज़ है हज़ारों लाखों लोगों के लिए. मैंने शुरू में आपसे कहा कि मैं किताब के बारे में बात नहीं करूँगा. मैं क्यों नहीं करूँगा ये बताता हूँ मैं आपको. मैं अभी साइंस का स्टूडेंट रहा हूँ डॉक्टर साहब. बायो मेरा सब्जेक्ट रहा है. अब साइंस का स्टूडेंट मैंने बोला तो मतलब फिज़िक्स भी मैंने पढ़ी है क्लास 12 तक. तो एक चीज़ मैं समझता हूँ कि एक थ्योरी ऑफ जनरेशन लॉस होती है. और थ्योरी ऑफ जनरेशन लॉस बहुत सिंपल है. वो ये है कि जब एनर्जी ट्रांसफॉर्म होती है एक फॉर्म से दूसरे फॉर्म में, तो पूरी ट्रांसफॉर्म नहीं होती, कुछ ना कुछ टूट जाता है, कुछ ना कुछ रह जाता है. 100% ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कभी होता नहीं है. दिव्यांश जो था उसको 100% लिखना दुनिया में किसी कलम के बस की बात नहीं है, वो कितना भी बड़ा राइटर क्यों ना हो. तो मैं ये जानता हूँ, मैंने इस किताब को पढ़ा है, मेरी पत्नी ने इस किताब को पढ़ा है, और वो रातों रात रोई है इस किताब को पढ़ के, और मुझे नींद में जगा के बोला है कि तुम इसको पढ़ो. मैं जानता हूँ वो जो आंसू थे वो कंपैशन के थे. वो दुख और अवसाद और विषाद के आंसू नहीं थे, वो करुणा के आंसू थे. ये किताब आपके अंदर कोई ट्रेजेडी की भावना पैदा नहीं करती है. ये किताब आपके अंदर कंपैशन पैदा करती है. जो ह्यूमन लाइफ है, ह्यूमन स्पिरिट है, उसके लिए इज्जत पैदा करती है आपके मन में. लेकिन
एक जनरेशन लॉस तो ऑलरेडी हो चुका है कि दिव्यांश की ज़िंदगी को शब्दों में बांधने की कोशिश की गई, और करनी ही चाहिए, वरना कहानी कैसे पहुंचेगी, बात आगे कैसे बढ़ेगी। दूसरा जनरेशन लॉस मैं नहीं करूंगा कि मैं अपने तरीके से आपको बताऊं कि वो किताब क्या है, ये डबल जनरेशन लॉस हो जाएगा। मैं अपने तरीके से कुछ भी समझाने की, बताने की कोशिश आपको नहीं करूंगा। तो मैं करूंगा क्या, मेरा रोल क्या है, मेरी भूमिका क्या है यहाँ? मैं चुप हो जाऊंगा और आज दिव्यांश को बोलने दूंगा। आप सब जानते हैं कि दिव्यांश कविताएं लिखते थे, इंग्लिश में लिखते थे, और उन्होंने 2 कविताएं हिंदी में भी लिखी थी। वो दोनों कविताएं मेरे पास हैं। आज मेरे पास एक मौका है, आपके पास एक मौका है कि मैं वो दोनों कविताएं आपके सामने पढ़ूं और आप दिव्यांश के शब्दों से उनके अंदर झांक पाएं। एक विंडो खुले, एक झरोखा खुले, और आप ये देख पाएं कि क्या ब्यूटीफुल स्पिरिट थी, कितना बड़ा दिल था, कितना बड़ा दिमाग था, कितनी अच्छी समझ थी शब्दों की, कैसा रख रखाव था, कैसे बरतते थे शब्दों को, किस एहसास से छूते थे। तो वो 2 कविताएं मैं आपके लिए पढ़ूंगा, और यही आज के कार्यक्रम में मेरी भूमिका है। मैं चाहता हूं कि फॉर माई फेलो राइटर, मैं बहुत फ़ख्र से दिव्यांश को अपना फेलो राइटर कह रहा हूँ। कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता कितनी कविताएं लिखी, जो लिखा उसमें सच्चाई कितनी थी, जो लिखा उसमें वज़न कितना था, जो लिखा उसमें ईमानदारी कितनी थी, इससे फ़र्क पड़ता है। और इन कसौटियों पर, इन पैरामीटर्स पर दिव्यांश की कविताएं किसी भी लिटरेरी वैल्यू पर खरी उतरती हैं। और इसमें बड़े से बड़ा जो दुनिया का मैं क्रिटिक कहूँ, वो अगर इसको पढ़ने बैठेगा, सिर्फ इसलिए नहीं, इस भावना के तहत नहीं कि दिव्यांश या लिखने वाला अब यहाँ नहीं है। इन कविताओं में वाकई साहित्य है, इन कविताओं में लिटरेचर है, इन कविताओं में जो एक सूंधी महक होती है रिश्तों की, वो है। आप इनको सुनेंगे तो आपको अंदाज़ा होगा कि कितना धड़कता हुआ दिल दिव्यांश के अंदर था। अगर आज्ञा दें आप तो मैं पढ़ना शुरू करूँ। जी। जो पहली कविता मैं आपके लिए पढ़ूंगा उसका नाम है पीतल की पिचकारी। अब ये समझने की गलती कतई न करें कि जब पीतल की पिचकारी की बात हो रही है तो वो वाकई पीतल की पिचकारी की बात हो रही है। पोएट हमेशा मेटाफर से बात करता है। पोएट ने जो कह दिया वो बहुत बड़ी चीज़ नहीं है, जो वो कहते कहते रह गया, जिस तरफ इशारा करके उंगली दिखा के छोड़ दिया, वो बड़ी चीज़ है। मैं कोशिश करूँगा और मैं चाहूँगा कि आप वहाँ पहुँचें जहाँ दिव्यांश ने उंगली दिखा दी, जहाँ दिव्यांश ने एक इशारा कर दिया। ये पीतल की पिचकारी दिव्यांश ने अपने दादाजी के लिए लिखी थी। दिव्यांश के दादाजी बहुत बड़े आदमी हुआ करते हैं और पटना के बहुत ख्यातिलब्ध लोगों में से एक हैं। एक पिचकारी हुआ करती थी उनके पास। जब हम पिचकारी की बात करते हैं तो हम सब ने पिचकारियाँ होली में खेली हैं। हम पिचकारियाँ प्लास्टिक की ख़रीदते हैं और उससे होली खेलते हैं और वो डिस्कार्ड हो जाती हैं और अगली बार फिर नई पिचकारियाँ खरीदी जाती हैं। लेकिन दिव्यांश के दादा के पास एक पीतल की पिचकारी थी और वो पीतल की पिचकारी, उससे बाकायदा होली खेली जाती और वो बहुत सहेज के, धुल के, साफ़ करके, पॉलिश करके फिर रख दी जाती कि अगली होली पर दिव्यांश के दादा उसी पिचकारी से होली खेलेंगे। वो किसी और पिचकारी से होली नहीं खेलते थे। आप ये कविता सुने और फिर मैं अपनी बात कहूँगा। और अब मैं चुप हो रहा हूँ, दिव्यांश बोल रहा है, ध्यान से सुने। होली है, किलकारी ये खुशबू से फैलती, तेल लगाए तैनात बच्चे बड़े जवान, छत पे लाल हरा नीला रंगों की बाल्टियाँ छपा छप उलीचती, उत्सव को सींचती। छत से रंगों से गीला आता था मैं घर के द्वार पे, आपका दृश्य दिखता था संग पीतल की पिचकारी के। ये आप कौन हैं? ये दादाजी हैं। आपका दृश्य दिखता था संग पीतल की पिचकारी के, कैसे कोई इतनी भारी पिचकारी से रंग खेले। सदा मेरे मन को ये बात सताती थी, नहा कर सोने जाता था नींद के शयन पर। आज सालों के बाद, ये जो पहला हिस्सा था ये अपने बचपन का बताया था दिव्यांश ने, और आगे का हिस्सा तब का है जब दिव्यांश की चेतना जागी, जब वो बड़े हुए, जब उनके अंदर वो दिमाग आया कि वो समझ पाएँ कि वो पीतल की जो पिचकारी थी उसका प्रतीक क्या था, उसका संदेश क्या था। आगे लिखते हैं दिव्यांश कि आज सालों के बाद बुद्धि का प्रभाव है संपन्न, समझ में आई है क्यों आप खेलते थे रंग उन मंद भूरी पिचकारियों के साथ। हल्की और नाजुक होती थी पिचकारी हम बच्चों की मनपसंद, टूट जाती थी झटपट निराशा हमारी बनकर। वो तो आपकी पिचकारी थी अदम्य, अटूट, ताकतवर। हर होली जो बनती थी आपकी रंगीन साथी। वक्त ने हमें बहुत दूर कर दिया है, वक्त की है ये साजिश। आपकी स्निग्ध तस्वीर याद दिलाती है आपकी मुस्कान उस पीतल की पिचकारी की। पीतल की पिचकारी जैसी अदम्य और अविस्मरणीय है आपकी आत्मा। धूप में धातु में क्षण ज्योति है स्मृति आपकी, याद हमेशा। जैसा कि मैंने कहा, यहाँ पिचकारी सिर्फ एक मेटाफर है। बात हो रही है पिता की, बात हो रही है उस पितृ पुरुष की जो खुद दुनिया की तमाम मुश्किलों से, तमाम झंझावातों से गुजर जाए, लेकिन अपने माथे पर एक बल नहीं आने देता कि कहीं उसके चेहरे की उदासी भांप कर उसके घर वाले परेशान ना हो जाएं, उसके बच्चे ये ना समझ लें कि उनका बाप कमज़ोर हो गया है। हम जिस देश में हैं, यहाँ बाप बूढ़ा होता है, कमज़ोर नहीं होता। मेरे खुद के बाबूजी तकरीबन 84 साल के हैं, झुर्रियाँ हैं हाथों पे, चेहरे पे। जब भी उनसे मिलता हूँ, 2 महीने के गैप के बाद भी मिलूँ तो लगता है थोड़े से और बूढ़े हो गए। लेकिन जब उनके बगल बैठता हूँ, इतना ताकतवर महसूस करता हूँ, मुझे लगता है दुनिया की कोई ताकत मेरा कुछ बिगाड़ नहीं सकती। हजारों मुश्किलों से लड़ रहा हूँ मैं अकेला ही, दुआएं साथ हों जिसके उसे लश्कर नहीं लगता। लश्कर यानी फौज, जिसके साथ दुआएं लड़ती हैं उसको फौज की ज़रूरत नहीं होती। हजारों मुश्किलों से लड़ रहा हूँ मैं अकेला ही, दुआएं साथ हों जिसके उसे लश्कर नहीं लगता। मेरे बाबूजी बूढ़े हैं मगर अब भी ये आलम है, वो मेरे पास होते हैं तो मुझको डर नहीं लगता। बहुत ज़रा सी उम्र में, बहुत छोटी सी आयु में दिव्यांश ये समझता था कि पिता होना क्या है, पितृत्व क्या है। और मुझे ताज्जुब होता है ये सोच के कि एक ऐसा बच्चा जो इतनी खुशियों में पला, इतने बड़े घर में पैदा हुआ, हर चीज़ डिस्पोजल पे हाजिर थी, हर चीज़ बोलने पे हाजिर थी, उसे इतना वक्त कब मिला कि रिश्तों की इतनी गहराई में उतरे और इस कदर रिश्तों से प्यार करे, उनसे मोहब्बत करे। और जब मैं कहता हूँ कि दिव्यांश पिता होना समझता था, तो मैं अपने आप से पूछता हूँ कि हम में से कितने लोग समझते हैं, हम में से कितने लोग समझते हैं कि पिता होने का अर्थ क्या है। जो पिता हैं मैं उनकी भी बात कह रहा हूँ, और जो पिता नहीं है मैं उनकी भी बात कह रहा हूँ। अगर हम पुत्र हैं, अगर हम संतान हैं, अगर हम बेटे बेटियाँ हैं, तो क्या वाकई हम समझते हैं पिता होना क्या है। एक बात बोल के खुश हो जाते हैं, माई डैडी इज सुपर हीरो, इज दैट एनफ, डज दैट सफाइस। माई डैडी इज द बेस्ट। तो जो बेस्ट था, क्या किया हमने उसके साथ? उसके माथे पर सुपर हीरो वाला टैग चिपका दिया। और सुपर हीरो तो कुछ भी कर सकता है। उससे थोड़ी पूछते हैं कि आज मुश्किलों के कितने पर्वत पार किए, हमारी एक शर्ट सिलवाने में अपने कितने कुर्ते तार तार किए। उससे थोड़ी पूछते हैं कि हमारी जिदें पूरी करने के लिए कितने दिन ओवर टाइम करते हुए गुजार दिए, हमारे बचपन की एक मुस्कुराहट जीतने में अपनी जवानी के कितने बरस हार दिए। और वो बुखार वाली रातें, हमारी फिक्र में सिर्फ माँ थोड़ी जागती थी, कच्ची नींद में सोते तो पापा भी थे। किसी की नज़र नहीं गई पर रोते तो पापा भी थे। ये छोटी सी कविता दिव्यांश की जो मैंने आपको पढ़ के सुनाई, और उसके आसपास जो मैंने बहुत मामूली से खाके खींचे, वो आपको सिर्फ इतना बताने के लिए था कि दिव्यांश समझता था। दिव्यांश की उम्र हम अगर 22 सालों में ना नापें, ये गलती ना करें हम, क्योंकि ये मेरे ख्याल से बहुत बड़ी गलती होगी कि हम ये मान लें कि हाँ ठीक है, ये इस दुनिया में आने का और दुनिया से जाने का वक्त है, और हम वो मैथमेटिक्स लगाने बैठ जाएं। ऐसा नहीं है। मुझे लगता है हज़ारों वर्ष की आयु रही होगी, तब इस तरह की एक आत्मा इंसान को मिलती है, तब इस तरह के सोल, तब इस तरह की गंभीरता इंसान को मिलती है। और किसी भी लिखने वाले की सबसे बड़ी जीत ये है कि उसका लिखा हुआ उसकी अपनी जागीर न रह जाए, वो लोगों में बँट जाए, वो ऐसे बढ़ जाए कि लोकगीत बन जाए, वो ऐसे बढ़ जाए कि जब उसे आप पढ़ें तो आपको अपनी कहानी लगे, आपको अपनी कहानी लगे, उनको अपनी कहानी लगे। बहुत अच्छा है कि दिव्यांश जो लिखा और जो भी हमारे लिए छोड़ के गया उसमें से दिव्यांश ही गायब हो जाए। दिव्यांश इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, जो दिव्यांश लिख के गया उसको आप कितना समझते हैं, कितना सहेजते हैं, उसके रास्ते पे कितना चलते हैं, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है। मैं जब दिव्यांश की कविताएं पढ़ता हूँ, और ये जब हमने ये पीतल की पेशकारी वाली कविता पढ़ी, तो मुझे अपने पिताजी बार बार याद आए। हैं, जिंदा हैं, लखनऊ में हैं। अनायास पता नहीं कितनी बार मेरा हाथ फ़ोन पे गया कि मैं उनसे बात करूं। मैंने लंबी लंबी बातें की और वो मुझसे पूछ रहे थे कि तुम आज पढ़ा, तुम्हारे पास टाइम है? वैसे तो रोज़ कहते हो बिज़ी हूँ, फ़ोन नहीं उठाता, आज कहाँ से इतना वक्त मिल गया? अब मैं उनको कैसे बताता कि कहीं कोई है जो मुझे कह रहा है आपसे बात करो। ये असर होना चाहिए कविताओं का। जब ये असर होता है तो वो कविताएँ सच्ची हैं, वो शब्द सच्चे हैं। मुझे अपने बाबूजी याद आए, एक बैंक में नौकरी करते थे, बहुत छोटी सी नौकरी थी, और जब वक्त मिलता नौकरी से तो खेती बाड़ी करते। स्प्लर्ज करने के लिए कुछ था नहीं कभी हमारे पास, बस इतना था कि हाथ से मुंह तक आते आते ख़त्म हो जाए। लेकिन जहाँ मैं था उस शहर में बड़ी बड़ी दुकानें थीं, कपड़ों, खिलौनों और किताबों से भरी, और मेरे बाबूजी की एक छोटी सी नौकरी। वो बरसों अपने लिए नया कुर्ता नहीं सिलवा पाए, पुराना फटता और सिल जाता, पर कपड़े, किताबें, खिलौने, मैं जो कुछ भी मांगता मुझे मिल जाता। कुछ किस्से हैं जो हमेशा के लिए दिल पे दर्ज हो गए। मैं कभी नहीं भूल पाऊंगा कि मेरी खुशियां खरीदने में मेरे बाबूजी खर्च हो गए। दिव्यांश की एक और कविता मेरे सामने है, मैं वो कविता भी पढ़ूंगा आपके लिए, और जैसा कि मैंने पिछली बार कहा था, एक बार फिर मैं चुप हो जाऊंगा और दिव्यांश बोलेगा। सुनिए, और ये कविता आपके होंठों पे मुस्कुराहट लाएगी। इसका नाम है जादुई जायका मेरी नानी का। कुछ दिन पहले ही दोपहर और संध्या के आलस भरे संक्रमण में, जब मन अक्सर शरीर में भरी विरक्ति को समझ लेता है भूख, तब मैंने पारदर्शी सी एक बरनी में भूरे रंग के प्रकाश में चमकती हुई नमकीन एवं भूख बढ़ाने वाली खुशबू से सुगंधित गोलाकार की निकाली एक कचौरी। आह, उफ, चिल्लाने लगी पहले मेरी जीभ, फिर मेरा हृदय। स्वाद कलियां मेरी जैसे हो गईं सिंचित किसी स्वर्ण अमृत से। अकस्मात ही जैसे प्रचारों में दिखते हैं, फूटने लगी मेरे मन में आतिशबाजी हर्ष की। नानी, निकली दिल की धड़कन चिड़ियों के मुलायम और नाजुक पंखों की तरह। बह गई मेरी चेतना यादों की धकेलती गुदगुदाती हवाओं में। रसोई घर के फर्श पर बैठी ऐनक नाक के बीच में दबी हुई, भूरे बाल पीछे बंधे एक शिखा में बैठी है मेरी नानी, सबसे प्यारी। आटा सानते, दाल पकाते, मिश्रण को गोलाकार कटे हुए आटे में भरते, मासूम तृष्णा से तलते हुए। यह दृश्य की स्मृति अत्यंत भाव विभोर करने वाली, रोंगटे खड़ी करने वाली, मर्मस्पर्शी और स्निग्ध भावनाएं विकीर्ण करती हुई उड़ा ले जाती हैं मुझे यादों की कोमल पंखुड़ियों में। हम रहते हों भले मीलों दूर, पूरब और पश्चिम की सनक से मजबूर, लेकिन यह तुच्छ बाधा ही नहीं है जहाँ नानी और नाती का प्रेम इतना अद्वितीय, इतना दैवीय, इतना शुद्ध, इतना मासूम, इतना कोमल, इतना मुलायम, परंतु दृढ़ और बुलंद बवंडरी रथ बनकर जो नष्ट कर जाए इसको। लिट्टी आपकी जो खुले तंदूर में सुलग कर आपको कष्ट पहुंचाती है, आपके हाथों को जलाती है। दिव्यांश देख सकते थे कि खाना बनाते हुए माँ के हाथ भी जलते हैं। हर निवाले में मुझे महसूस होती है, विचलित करती है, मगर आपकी पवित्र प्रेम भावना तीव्रता से अपनी शिथिल कर देती है इस पीड़ा को। लेती आती है तपती हुई भावना अडिग प्रेम, प्रार्थना और सम्मान की। वो काजू की बर्फियों के जुड़वों को मम्मी की बाज आंखों से अपने नरम हाथों की आड़ में छुपाकर एकजुट मेरे मुंह में डालना। क्योंकि शायद पता था नानी को भी कि अगर ये बर्फियाँ खिलाते हुए निधि देख लेगी तो मेरे ऊपर चिल्लाएगी। वो मीठे और नमकीन निमकी, मठरी, कलौंजी और अजवाइन की खुशबू से उत्कीर्ण, या वो जीभ को नचाने वाले, मन में बैंड बजाने वाले पिट्ठे, दाल, पोस्ते और आपके प्यार से स्वादिष्ट सारे अलग अलग रंग हैं। इस इंद्रधनुष में आपका स्नेह है। नानी, जब भी मैं आपकी कचौरी को खाता हूँ गिर जाते हैं कुछ दाल के गाने, आप कुछ दाल के दाने आपके तगड़े पक्के प्रेम के। फैलना चाहते होंगे संसार में, आपकी ममतामयी भावना का गुणगान करने उन्हें ज़मीन से भी उठाकर भर लेता हूँ अपने लालची मुख में। इस अनन्य और निहित संप्रेषण को 100% भरकर रखना जो चाहता हूँ हृदय और आत्मा के हर एक कण में। आनंद लेता हूँ और लेता रहूँगा। नानी, आपके अलौकिक जायके का यादें आपकी हमेशा रहेंगी ताज़ी, अंतर्गत मेरे अंतर्मन। जब दिव्यांश अपनी नानी की बात कर रहे हैं, एज अ पोएट जो एक चीज़ मुझे एनवी फील हुआ थोड़ी देर के लिए, मुझे जलन महसूस हुई दिव्यांश से। वो पता है किस बात की जलन थी? मैं साल में शायद 15-20 फिल्मों के गाने लिखता हूँ, डायलॉग्स लिखता हूँ। बाहुबली मैंने लिखी है, पता नहीं आप में से कितनों को पता है। हमेशा होता है कि जब हम फिक्शन और रियलिटी के बीच का फासला जो बहुत बारीक सा होता है, जो राइटर वो तय कर लेता है ना कि रोमांटिसिज्म भी रह जाए इसमें पोइट्री भी रह जाए और उसमें सच भी रह जाए, ये झूठा खोखला शब्दों का आडंबर ना लगे, वो बड़ा राइटर होता है मेरी नज़र में। ये जो फाइन लाइन है, ये पता नहीं, मैं ये तो मानूंगा नहीं कि बहुत अच्छी ट्रेनिंग थी दिव्यांश की, ये तो मैं मानना भी नहीं चाहता। नेचुरल था, प्रकृति का दिया हुआ था। कितनी आसानी से उस पतली रस्सी पे चल रहे हैं, जहां आपको जो प्रतीक दिख रहे हैं कितने सिंपल हैं। कचौड़ियाँ दिख रही हैं, मठरी दिख रही है, आलू दिख रही है, चूल्हा दिख रहा है, कलौंजी दिख रही है, बर्फ़ी के टुकड़े दिख रहे हैं, और बातें कितनी बड़ी बड़ी हो रही हैं। ये हैं दिव्यांश। और ये जो प्रतीक इतने सिंपल, इतने सरल होते हैं तो शायद बहुत दिल तक पहुंचते हैं। क्योंकि हम में तो बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं जो, मैं तो फिल्मों के लिए लिखता हूं, पर जो नहीं लिखते हैं वो बड़े फिल्मी हो गए हैं। व्हाट्सएप पे माँ का दिल, माँ का दिल, माँ का दिल, और मैं बहुत परेशान होता हूँ देख के। क्योंकि आप जब माँ का दिल लिख लेते हैं, आपके अंदर एक भावना आती है, मैं तो बड़ा अच्छा बेटा हूँ, मैंने तो माँ के दिल की बात कर ली। मैं एक नज़्म आपको पढ़ के सुनाता हूँ कि माँ का दिल ममता का मंदिर है, मोहब्बत का ख़जाना है, माँ का दिल ये है, माँ का दिल वो है। अरे छोड़ो भी ये फिल्मी बातें। किसने देखा है माँ का दिल? मैंने तो नहीं देखा। हाँ, उसके हाथ ज़रूर देखें, वही हाथ जो मेरे लिए रोटियां बनाते हुए कई बार तवे पर जले हैं, वही हाथ जो मेरी नन्ही उंगलियां थाम के बरसों बरस चले हैं, मुझे लिखना सिखाते हुए जिन हाथों पर पेंसिल की कालिख चढ़ जाती थी और मेरी शर्ट के बटन टाँगते हुए जिन हाथों में सुई गड़ जाती थी, वही हाथ जो कभी तकिया बनकर मेरे सिरहाने सोते थे और मुझे एक थप्पड़ मार के खुद 10 बार रोते थे। देखो, ज़रूरी नहीं है तुम्हारा श्रवण कुमार होना, माँ के पैर आंसुओं से धोना, पर जिन हाथों की झुर्रियाँ तुम पे कर्ज हैं, रोज़ सोने से पहले वो हाथ चूम के सोना। दिव्यांश ने मेरे ज़रिए अपनी बात कह दी। मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि आपने सुनी। जो तालियाँ थीं ये दिव्यांश के लिए थी, और ये तालियाँ वो सुन रहे हैं। मैं फिर से आपको बता दूं कि जो सबसे बड़ी भूल हम कर सकते हैं आज, वो ये है कि हम दिव्यांश के बारे में पास्ट टेंस में बात करें। मैं नहीं करूँगा। दिव्यांश गुजरा हुआ कल नहीं है, दिव्यांश हैं। और बचपन में एक फ़िल्म देखी थी मैंने, उस फिल्म से पता नहीं कितनी समानताएं दिव्यांश की कहानी में हैं, और ये ताज्जुब होता है मुझे कि क्या वो फिल्म दिव्यांश को ध्यान में रख के लिखी गई थी। तब तो शायद दिव्यांश के पिताजी भी बहुत यंग रहे होंगे। मैं आनंद की बात कर रहा हूँ, ऋषिकेश मुखर्जी की फिल्म आनंद। इतनी झलकियाँ मिलती हैं, और दिव्यांश ने तो बिल्कुल नहीं देखी होगी क्योंकि दिव्यांश के पीरियड की, उनके वक्त की फिल्म नहीं थी। लेकिन मुझे याद आता है उस फिल्म का एक संवाद कि आनंद मरा नहीं, आनंद मरते नहीं, दिव्यांश मरा नहीं, दिव्यांश मरते नहीं, जगह बदल लेते हैं, एक हायर प्लेटफॉर्म पे चले जाते हैं, एक हायर प्लेटू पे चले जाते हैं। पहले ज़मीं पर रहता था, अब अंबर का बाशिंदा है, मौत उसे क्या मारेगी, वो जिंदा था, वो जिंदा है। थैंक यू।
Wow, I am so मंत्रमुग्ध। मनोज जी, इट्स गोइंग टू बी डिफ़िकल्ट। अब मैं कैसे इंग्लिश में बात करूं, मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा। आपने इतनी प्यारी हिंदी बोली है, इतने प्यारे एग्जाम्पल्स दिए हैं हमें। थैंक यू सो मच मनोज जी। ओके, आई एम नाउ गोइंग टू रिक्वेस्ट नॉट जस्ट द co-author of Blaze, but the mother of our beloved Divyansh to share her thoughts with us. Mrs. Nidhi Podar, may I please have you here?
हेलो एवरीवन। मेरे लिए पहला मौका है, मैं इतने लोगों को फेस कर पा रही हूँ। अगर आज मैं अपनी बात कंप्लीट करूँ तो मैं बस दिव्यांश के स्पिरिट को ही मानूंगी। वो मेरे साथ खड़ा है और मैं बोल पा रही हूँ उसके लिए, क्योंकि वो आज है नहीं मेरे साथ, मेरे पीछे खड़ा मुझे सपोर्ट करने के लिए। ब्लेज के बारे में सब लोगों ने बात की और मैं आज सिर्फ अपने और दिव्यांश की बात करूंगी। एक माँ का ड्रीम अपने बच्चे के लिए जो होता है वो मेरा भी था, और एक बेटे का प्रॉमिस होता है अपनी माँ के लिए कि वो जो माँ चाहती है सब वो करे उसके लिए। लेकिन दिव्यांश की लाइफ जर्नी तो एडवर्सिटी के साथ ही शुरू हुई, और उसके पास एक ही ऑप्शन था, वो अपने हेल्थ को ठीक करता, फिर बाकी बातें बाद में होती। और मेरे पास भी एक ही चॉइस था कि मैं विश करती कि जल्दी से दिव्यांश ठीक हो जाए और लाइफ में आगे बढ़े। लेकिन दिव्यांश ने अपने लाइफ को ऐसे जिया, ऐसे आगे बढ़ाया कि हर पेरेंट्स का ड्रीम होता है कि मेरा बच्चा ऐसे ही करे, और दिव्यांश सब कुछ करता गया जो मैं चाहती रही। उसको ऐसे देखकर, उसको आगे बढ़ता देखकर, ना कभी डरा, ना कभी पेन बताया, कुछ भी नहीं किया। और इस रास्ते ने उसको एक नया चीज़ दिया, जो उसकी पोइट्री, उसके थॉट्स, वो जैसे सोचता था ऐसे फाइट करता था। तो मुझे ये तो पता था कि दिव्यांश कुछ तो करेगा बहुत अच्छा अपनी लाइफ में, लेकिन एक ड्रीम जो दिव्यांश ने मुझे दिया, वो दिया कि कभी तो वो जाके उसकी कविता, उसका लाइफ जर्नी लोगों को बताए और ख़ुद से लिखे अपनी कहानी। और ये ड्रीम मैं इतनी स्ट्रांगली डेली फील करती थी कि मुझे कभी लगा ही नहीं कि दिव्यांश इतना वीक है कभी और कुछ नहीं कर सकता है। और दिव्यांश ने सब कुछ किया जो मैं चाहती थी और मुझे अच्छा लगता था। चलो अब ये टाइम निकल जाएगा और दिव्यांश सब कुछ करेगा। लेकिन दिव्यांश चला गया और मुझे अब लगता है शायद जाना ही था उसको, क्योंकि बहुत उसने किया और उसकी जर्नी इतनी ही थी और जो करना था वो करके चला गया। फिर सबको लगा, मेरे हस्बैंड को भी लगा कि अब मैं संभालूं कैसे, उसका बेटा चला गया, उस माँ को मैं कैसे संभालूंगा। लेकिन मेरे लिए तो दिव्यांश कभी गया ही नहीं था, उसका बस हाथ शायद छूट गया, लेकिन वो और स्ट्रांगली मेरे पास आया और उस ड्रीम ने मुझे कभी गिरने नहीं दिया। बस मैं यही सोचती थी कि दिव्यांश जा नहीं सकता है, उसकी स्टोरी अधूरी नहीं रहेगी, हम लोगों को बताएंगे उसकी स्टोरी, जो उसने किया है सब ख़त्म नहीं हो सकता है। फिर दिव्यांश की स्टोरी शुरू हुई, हम लोग फिर से उसके साथ चलना शुरू हो गए और आज मैं ब्लेज के साथ आप लोगों के सामने खड़ी हूँ। भले ही दिव्यांश मेरे पास नहीं है, लेकिन मेरे साथ है और मैं शायद उसकी ही बातें कर रही हूँ। और मैं बस दिव्यांश को यही बोलना चाहती हूँ कि कोई अपनी माँ का ड्रीम ऐसे भी पूरा करता है क्या? मुझे तो यहाँ खड़ा होना भी नहीं था, मैं वहाँ आप लोगों के साथ बैठ के उसके लिए क्लैप करना चाहती थी, उसको देखना चाहती थी यहाँ पे। लेकिन दिव्यांश इससे ज़्यादा शायद अपनी माँ के लिए कुछ कर नहीं सकता था और उसने एक माँ के ड्रीम को ऐसे पूरा किया। वो खुद चला गया लेकिन मुझे ऑथर बना गया। मुझे नहीं पता मैं इस चीज़ को कैसे और जब ये स्टोरी ख़त्म हुई, लोगों के पास जाने लगी, लास्ट 6 मंथ में हम लोग दिव्यांश को स्टोरी के थ्रू सबके पास लेके गए हैं कि पता नहीं था कि सही में दिव्यांश की स्टोरी ऐसी है कि लोगों तक पहुंचनी चाहिए। लोगों को लगेगा पेन में पेरेंट्स हैं, कुछ भी लिख रहे हैं, कुछ भी कर रहे हैं। बहुत लोगों से ऐसा फील भी आया कि अपने आप पेन को कम करने के लिए ये लोग ऐसे करें, चलो एक पिटी फील करते थे, चलो बेटा नहीं है ये कर रहे हैं। लेकिन इतने लोगों के पास मैं गई दिव्यांश को इस बुक के थ्रू लेके, और लोगों का जो रिस्पांस आया और लोग जो दिव्यांश के साथ जुड़ते गए, वो शायद मुझे ही कंप्लीटली मुझे ही चेंज कर रहा है। मैं शायद 2 साल पहले जो थी आज मैं हूँ नहीं, तभी मैं यहाँ खड़े होके बोल पा रही हूँ। इसलिए बोल पा रही हूँ कि मैं दिव्यांश की माँ हूँ, और वो नहीं है तो मुझे खड़े होके उसकी बात बतानी है। फिर जब टाइम आ रहा था, मुझे लगा दिव्यांश ने तो मेरा ड्रीम पूरा कर दिया, लेकिन मैं तो नहीं चाहती थी कि तुम ऐसे मेरा ड्रीम पूरा करो। लेकिन आज यहाँ खड़े होके शायद उसने फिर से मुझे एक नया ड्रीम दिया है कि दिव्यांश की कहानी लोगों को दिल को छुए, उसको इंस्पायर करे, और बहुत सारे दिव्यांश, बहुत सारी मेरी जैसी मदर जिनको लगता है उनके बच्चों का क्या होगा, उनको शायद दिव्यांश ने मिट कर एक नया रास्ता दिखाया है उस राह पे चलने के लिए। थैंक यू सो मच।
As the evening progresses, it's only becoming clearer how Divyansh was so brave. He had this beautiful set of parents who are so brave, so strong-willed, and great human beings. Okay, now listen to this. Eyes as clear as water, gaze filled with motes of curiosity, cheeks as red as an apple, and an expression as innocent and tranquil as birth. Quietly she learned how to crawl like a flower blooming from a pod, and cooing and gooing she learned to pronounce mummy, papa, and all. That was only that one innocent word she uttered with a fault. Ayya for bhaiya of all. Ananya, this is how fondly Divyansh wrote about his little sister Ananya. And she's here, and I'm going to ask you to come and join me. Come here, Ananya. Come here. You stand here with me? It's okay, it's okay. Okay, so Ananya, you like the poem that Bhaiya wrote for you?
Yes.
You like it?
Yes, I liked it very much.
Like it very much.
Yes.
Okay, have you read the book yet?
Not
Not now?
No.
You will read that later, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me, did you and Bhaiya fought a lot, or was he very protective of you?
We and my brother used to fight, but
But he used to not fight so much.
No.
Because you are so cute.
Yes.
Yes. Now will you tell me just one thing that Bhaiya liked a lot, something that he loved a lot, anything that he used to wear, or a favorite dish, or anything that you knew and we don't know?
No, that only the one that this.
What is there in his wardrobe that he used to like a lot?
He was very fond of caps.
Caps, right. So Bhaiya used to love his caps.
Yes.
And are you going to wear them now? I want you to wear them now. Wear them sometimes.
I don't have it. I don't have it now.
Okay, fine. But when you get them, you wear it, okay?
Yeah.
Please tell everybody, please read Blaze.
Please read this. It is a very heart-touching story. Hope it touches your heart.
Thank you, Ananya. As we head towards the finale of today's event, there's a little surprise that I would like all of you to witness. Respected guests, may I please request you all सिर्फ 2 मिनट के लिए आप भी ये देखें अगर सिर्फ yes. आइए बात करेंगे ना okay. Just 2 minutes. Play the AV, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, namaskar. This is Amitabh Bachchan. I'm here to talk about a young man called Divyansh. Nidhi and Sushil Poddar are the parents of Divyansh, for whom unfortunately we have to refer to in the past. But a young man with tremendous courage, fortitude, and the spirit to fight against all kinds of adversity. His parents, Nidhi and Sushil Poddar, went through his entire life and have fortunately done a book which is called Blaze, The Son's Trial by Fire. Divyansh was an exceptional human, having qualities not just of humanity and bravery and the fight to fight the disease that he went down with, but had a very exceptional mind. And he was a poet, and he had many things that went along in his mind. So this story, A Son's Trial by Fire, is truly is a story that comes from extreme courage of how Divyansh fought throughout his life. It's going to be a very emotional read for all of you when you get this book. But I can tell you that once you've been through it, it can be a huge inspirational moment for all of us, because it has the capacity to transform the very triumph of human spirit. Blaze, A Son's Trial by Fire. I've had the good fortune to meet them, and today I just wish to give you a specimen of Divyansh's mind and the kind of poetry that he wrote, which is there in this book. The title of the book is Blaze, and this poem that he wrote, which contains thoughts, is also titled Blaze. Two stones stuck together by a chance as minute as the candles in a storm. There arose a bright amber spark, engulfing all the darkness there was. With fear and awe witnessed this wonder, man, animal, and all, as it turned brighter and lighter, stronger and warmer, inviting and warning all. A courage shaking with fear, he approached it, uncertain but sure. This new wonder of nature had been born as his new companion. Slowly he wielded and learnt the fire burning bright and hot, using it as it was meant, adding new strength to all known so far. There came a point in time when he made the blazing breath so hot that it swallowed him and those who enraged it so much. Some worship it, some stay away from it. Everyone needs its warmth. An accidental serendipity it may be, but it is not that at all. The fire that glows so bright and radiant resides inside all of us, burning bright when called for, burning dim when not. It is this fire that invokes passion, courage, and determination. And it is also the same fire that invokes pride, anger, jealousy, and hatred, when fueled by the darkness that lurks around a human soul. Nerves of steel, a rock-strong resilience, burning determination, radiant visage are all the various traits carefully tested by this master, who can burn those who give up and strengthen those who don't. Look into the fire, my friends. Look at its profoundness and rekindle the fire in you to make the spirit strong, stronger than ever before. Blaze, a son's trial by fire. Do read it. Thank you.
Respected guests, please take your seats again. So we just saw the AV from the man who needed no introduction, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. And on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Podar, I thank Mr. Bachchan for his best wishes and blessings for the launch of Blaze. Before we unveil the book now, I'm going to read an excerpt from Divyansh's poem, Rebirth. Now, as I stand at the precipice of this path, I truly understand the true nature of transience as it always is. What goes down always comes up. The sun always rises after setting. What breaks is always rebuilt. Sufferings are like weak relations that are broken by the iron hand of time. These are some of the lessons this angelic cradle taught me. With an additional layer of perspective, my boots shine with new energy as I continue my sojourn towards eternal heartiness and peace on this path, long but not bemused. Ladies and gentlemen, as we witness Divyansh's rebirth once again in the form of Blaze, please give a huge round of applause for the book release. Thank you so much. I would request Mr. and Mrs. Podar and our distinguished guests to please go ahead and release the book. All right, in our last segment, I'm just going to ask anybody from the audience if you all have any questions regarding the book or otherwise to our authors. You can please bring them on now. Would anyone like to ask anything? No? All questions answered already? Okay. Okay then. Blaze is now available for purchase right at this bookstore. And if you get the copy, please do not forget to get it signed also from the authors. I'm going to ask Mr. Sushil to read an excerpt from the book before we disperse for the day.
It's page number 33. It is a build-up of writing a poem. He wrote one poem that's called Halfway Down the Path, Not Untaken. It's an event of sometime mid 2013. He had relapsed for the first time. He was undergoing treatment for that disease, and the treatment was to go for 2.5 years. And almost we were halfway through. In the middle of his regular treatment, one day Divyansh was returning from the daycare center along with Sushil. Mother is telling a story, that's why my name is appearing. He looked a bit pensive, and Sushil observed him looking outside the window of the car, searching for some answer from a constituent of the cosmos he felt attached to. That was 12th August 2014. Gazing in the same direction where he was, he asked his father, how much more treatment is left to be taken? Sushil consolingly replied, Divyansh, we are halfway through. Don't think too hard. Time flies. Divyans didn't ask any further question. Sushil felt he was not able to answer him convincingly. And Divyans must also have felt the predicament of his father, so he chose to give a brief reply. He was not gazing outside with a blank face, my dear. Actually, his father had replied with the key word halfway, which was expanded by the time he reached home. His countenance had changed and he looked more relaxed and at peace with himself. It seemed like he had got the answer he was looking for. That night he wrote the third poem of his life, titled Halfway Down the Path, Not Untaken. In less than 2 months of his literary journey, the poem he had written for himself, finding answers to all those questions which only he could have given himself. His contemplative ode evoked a sense of wisdom not only in him but also to us. He, through this poem, again lent a helping hand to us by letting us realize some of our unanswered questions. Here are some excerpts. Unfathomable are the ways of God. No, we cannot gaze it. He is a whimsical artist who sways his brush as he wishes. I was about to plant my feet on the lush green track, but I guess he had other plans for me, for he chose to change my track. Now I stand halfway down the path which his father could not answer or vaguely answered. Now as I stand halfway down this path, I have finally understood the nature of adversities as quoted by all. You see, adversity is a poison with its own antidote. You see, adversity is a poison with its own antidote, a thorn with its own red rose, a mistake with its own moral lesson that always makes you realize its profoundness at core. Thank you.
With this, we end today's evening. Thank you so much for being so wonderful. And on your way out, there are some refreshments. Please help yourself. Just right outside near the door. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for being here.